Hello and welcome to the post-game show. The Buccaneers are 3-2 and we are live, baby. We're celebrating. We're not celebrating. We're celebrating. Mm, mm. Victory does taste good. Victory does taste good. Well, guys, that was not what we expected. I had my prediction down that the Buccaneers, it would be tightly contested all the way to the fourth quarter and the Buccaneers would bang in 2 touchdowns just to finish it off. I was very wrong. The Buccaneers started off super strong. They really grew into the game, and we're hitting to the fourth quarter. We're at 21-0. We're 21-3. Hang on, let me give me a little tasters of this. and we go in and snag this game. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. We get to see a bit of K. Dotton. He had a fantastic game. I'm not 100% sure of the numbers, but he had a great game for us. Leonard Fournette had a great game at the backfield. I believe he got over 80 yards in the backfield. Didn't do much on the ground. My biggest worry of this defense, though, we coughed up a lot of yards on the ground. Not what you want. Not what you want. But hey, the Buccaneers did it. But I don't like these cagey wins, guys. This was a game. I'm not saying that Atlanta are a bad team. They're 2-2. They're 2-2 for a reason. No one's 2-2 for no reason. They were minutes away from beating the Saints. They were minutes away from beating us. You put those together, they could have been a very, very good team. Very good team. And I actually have them to be the 7th seed for the playoffs right now. That's where I'm at. 7th seed for that's where I think Atlanta should be looking at. We got to see sacks from Antoine Winfield, Darren Smith, Logan Hall, Joe Tryon, Shainka, and he used a spin move. Everyone says he can only bull rush. Well, he used a spin move. It worked. He got himself a sack. He eaten. Everyone happy. Vita Vea got himself a sack. I think that there was just a little bit more off the bone I would like to have seen. So the drink I got today, this is Cuban spiced and ginger beer. So I suppose you could call that a Cuban dark and stormy, baby. When the ship sets sail, the cans are firing. Anyway, guys, let's talk about this offense. Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. We gained a bit of momentum. It started looking good. And then we just fizzled out. Like, when we finished that half and got those 3 points, I was like, this Buccaneers team wants it. Like, they want it. And then we go into the third quarter, we get the ball back, and then we go and bang in another touchdown. We go for the 2-point conversion, and it's 21-0. And we let them back in the game. We let them back in. We got to shut the door, close the door, lock it down. It's got to be done, guys. We can't afford, as Buccaneers, we could have let the Atlanta Falcons have their 28-3 game. How embarrassing would that have been? Because they weren't far from it. Now, the penalty that aided us, I'm very thankful for it. Do I believe it was a penalty? Absolutely freaking not. We're lucky. We're lucky. However, I do believe it was pass interference on Scotty Miller. That guy hooked him up and bashed him into out of bounds while the ball was in the air. You can't do that. Last I checked, you can't do that. And I'm a defensive guy. I'm 100% believer there's no such thing as pass interference until a certain point. And that was the certain point. I think that was a flag all day long. It was way more of a flag than the unnecessarily roughing the passer, all that crap. I didn't see that as a penalty. I definitely saw the play on Scotty Miller as a penalty. So the way I see it was just that I think they realized they made a mistake and they just called some bullshit. That's my honest opinion. And I'm from jolly old England, and guess what? The Packers lost in England. Ooh, I love it. Them cheeseheads. We have Wesleydale. Wesleydale's one of our cheese. Red Leicester. They ain't having no cheese. They going home on a flight. I bet Aaron Rodgers is bugging out on psychedelics right now. He's like locked into some sort of like metal box, just spazzing out. But I love it. Finally gets to come over to England and he gets done by the New York Football Giants. You can't make this shit up, guys. You can't make it up. But back to us, Bucs. Wow, that was cagey. That was really cagey, guys. That was tough. It was a hard-fought win in the end, and I believe we deservedly were the better team. However, I'm gonna take my hat off to the Atlanta Falcons for fighting. That was a game they could have really lied down in, and just took the whipping, but they didn't take no whipping. They didn't take no whipping, and they carried on. They kept fighting. I have to respect that. And I heard that Russell Gage made a couple of plays here and there. He's not been great, but he made a couple of plays. I heard he was supposed to be inactive. What the hell happened there? I don't know. We didn't see the wide receivers that they activated. No, I didn't see them. Mike Evans got himself about 90 yards. Hey, Mike is just a dude. I felt that was a touchdown personally. But it is what it is. We got it in anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it would have been nice for Mike to get another one. Keep adding them tutties in and keep gaining those yards and get that 1K, 1K and at least 10 tutties, and we're smiling. We're smiling, boys. The Buccaneers are rolling into Victory Monday. Who we got next? I believe we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's have a little look. Let's see what we got cooking. So yeah, we're going to travel to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not sure how they are doing in their game. Whether it's played or not, I can't really tell you. I was just zeroed in on Bucs because that's my vibe. But guys, as always, remember, you gotta hit that like button, strip the subscribe button, and sack that notification button. That's all you gotta do. Keep it going, and we're gonna try and grow this thing. We're on Twitch now, so you can always come and watch us on Twitch. If there's any Twitch people on there, please check us out, like, comment, subscribe, and just chat with us. We talk some ball because we're celebrating. We're celebrating, boys. We're celebrating. Boys and girls, sorry, I do apologize. We celebrate. Let's get in the celebratory mood. I know I got the shades on. There you go. You can see the eyes. I'm bringing it back now. Here we go. Yes, Fred Moore. 3 and 2 beers. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I tell you what a game that K. Dotton had to step up. Me personally, I was a bit, he's a 4th round pick. 4th round picks don't do a lot. He had a game. He played really well. He had his moment, and he really ran with it. I'm really pleased for him and the way he played. Chris Godwin had a decent game. I think you're going to see more of him. I didn't hear Julio Jones. What happened to Julio Jones? Does anyone know what? Get the milk carton out. The milk carton alert. Where is Julio Jones? Where are you, brother? We paid some money. You're this elite wide receiver. What happened? What happened, brother? We need you. We need you. So, I ask all Bucs fans. It came out today by Ian Rappaport that Odell Beckham Jr. will be available mid-November. So why are we talking about signing him? We're in October. We're in week 5. Now, week 5 is just done for us. We're in week 5. This is the first proper week, I guess, in October, or Spooktober, as I like to call it. It's the first official week in that. And we're talking about signing a guy who ain't going to be ready till mid-November. Are we joking here? We have no idea what our wide receiving core is going to be playing like, looking like, injury level at that point, and we're just knee-jerk chilling, freaking out over it. We got to stop with the panic buying or panic hoping that we buy. There's nothing wrong with this Buccaneers team. It doesn't look as good as it did last year, for sure. I don't think the offense looks nowhere near as lethal. And that's frustrating, but it's doing enough to win games. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, because you can be razzle dazzle, flash, flash, flash. It means nothing when you can't, if you're not, like me, if you're not winning the games. Right now, Buccaneers are on a winning percentage. We're dominating the division. We've won our game. We've won our games in the division. We gotta take our lumps in this one and just roll with it. This wasn't a bad game. As I said in my last show and across the booking pond, we were 2-2, and that's okay. We're now 3-2. We have an opportunity to go in the next games and grind out some wins. That's what it's about. It's not how you start the race, guys. It's how we're going to finish it and go through the whole process of this season. There's 17 games to be played. We're freaking out after 4. And hopefully now some of that will be quelled. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people not happy with that we gave up 15 points. And rightly so. We shouldn't have given up 15 points. As I say, guys, I can see there's 7 people watching. Get your asses in and start commenting. Come on, I can't talk for myself. If you want to come and have a chat with me, I'm more than happy to put a link out for you guys to appear on the show. That's fine. But give me some comments. Give me something to talk about. Otherwise, it's just me. I like the sound of my own voice, ish. I don't like the recordings of my own voice, if I'm honest. I like hearing it now, but if I have to watch myself, no, I'll pass on that one. Pinky's out. Pinky's always out. Yeah. Our defense doesn't look like it can stop the run right now. That's 2 games in a row that if you bang up that yardage, we really should have been doing better. We really should have been doing better in that one. This was an Atlanta Falcons that was missing Cordarrelle Patterson and Kyle Pitts. Don't get me wrong. In the first 3 quarters, yeah, it felt like they were missing. Once they got rolling, it didn't feel like they needed them. But they were always running the football against us, guys. And that's, for me, that's frustrating because we need to do better than that. We need to have a better game than that in general. So let's go through how the game went. Buccaneers went down. Leonard Fournette touchdown, 1-yard run. Ryan Suckup comes in, boots the ball. We are now 7 up. Ryan Suckup comes in, kicks the field goal. We're now 10-zip. And I like this. The Buccaneers had hardly any time. They had some timeouts. What do? They don't just settle for it. They don't kneel down formation. We get aggressive. We get after it. We boot the ball again. It's 13-0. Going to the third quarter. Leonard Fournette, pass from Tom Brady. 1-yard pass, boom. Buccaneers at 21, zip up. And this is when it starts to get a little frustrating for me personally. Avery Williams, never heard of him. Never heard of him. 8-yard run for a touchdown against this run solid defense. That's got to be fixed. Something's not right there. Something's got to be fixed. Zacharias. I'm going to do my best. I do apologize for pronunciation. Sometimes you just got to read it and hope for the best. You know what I'm saying? 19-yard pass from Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is a running quarterback, guys. He had no business completing a pass like that. But he did. Defense sort of imploded in the second half, and the line isn't stopping the run. Absolutely. And if you can't stop the run, play action comes over. You end up trying to force fit in the run. And then when you start forcing the run, you roll that safety down or you add more people into the box. That means the receiving game comes open. They only have one superstar wide receiver. Now, we did get banged up towards the end of that game, and I'll give you that because Carlton Davis went out. Zion McCullum is not ready to go up against somebody like London Drake for sure. He's just not. You can see that. And then we also lost Sean Murphy-Bunting, and that takes a toll on a team. So they start to expose it, and they were really. I will give credit where credit's due. The Falcons exposed us when we were a little bit wounded. and we didn't recover from it. The offense kind of I would also say, Teresa, that the offense imploded because we went 3 and out like 3 times in a row. We could have closed that game out quick. All we need to do was have one sustainable drive instead of having the sustainable drive that we had at the end. They had no business finishing anything more than that. We should have been burning that game to the ground. There should have been a nice little bonfire and we put a clock on it. That's what should have happened. They don't do nothing. They don't get the chance to go and get any more. But hey, it is what it is. The positives, Buccaneers are still scoring touchdowns. They scored 2 though. Right? They scored 2 touchdowns. So it's not good. I'd say it's okay. It was an okay offensive performance. Now their defense is solid. I'll give them that. Their defense is good. It is an underrated defense. But their offense had no business scoring that many points on us. And the way I saw this game going down was the Buccaneers were going to go and get themselves. It was going to be tightly contested all the way, like maybe a touchdown in it, maybe 3 points in it. And then it hits that fourth quarter and the Buccaneers just pedal to the metal, hit the leather, hit it all, and bang out 2 touchdowns and completely shell-shock the Falcons. And that's why I had the game going. I believe I had I had them 14-27. I wish we were 14-27 right now, but I'll take what we got. I'll take what we got. But they had no, in my opinion, they had no business being there with us. Respect to them for doing it, but we got to move on. Game's got to move on. We got to get ready. We got road test against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does anyone know how the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing right now? Because I ain't got a Scooby-Doo right now. It's difficult to check stuff when you're doing the show. You know, you can't always see what you want to see. Teresa, oh yeah, Teresa, you did. You said you absolutely did say. You said 28-17. I think I was 20. I think I was 27-14. But yeah, I would say that was kind of where it was probably should have been. It's not that far from that if you think about it from a point of view, I guess. But I just think we could have done better. It's just disappointing that we got hot and then we just kind of fizzled out, and it took a penalty to kind of save it. For me, that's the kind of frustrating stuff. That's what I don't want to see. I'm all for an offensive explosion. I wanted to see that offensive explosion today. We got a taste of it, and we got to see a really nice high. Scotty Miller, he woke up. It was Miller time. The guy was making plays. What a great thing to see. Joe Tryon finally got himself a sack, and he didn't have, and he did a spin move, so he has one move in his arsenal. Johnny Dean, he's got one more move in his arsenal. He's been listening to you. He's been watching that NFL edition and watching you ranting and raving at him, saying, "Get off my grass, Joe Tryon Shayinka, and get yourself some sacks and learn some moves, boy." And he did just that. There's a little, I would say, for me, from watching the defensive line, there seemed a little bit of over pursuit. They kind of got ridden away when they should really kind of be working themselves back in. They just kind of let themselves get ridden out, especially by both Shaq and Joe Tryon Shayinka. But the middle of the line was pretty good. Hey, Logan Hall, what a player! Cowboys defense, sack, fumble, TD, punt block versus the round. What? I know I'm not seeing it. Okay, Pittsburgh went against Buffalo and they are crushed, 38-3. So that it stands good for us, guys. And this is what I'm saying. We are now in a position to go against a couple of teams that are down on their luck. This is where we pound it in. This is where we get our confidence going. The defense gets its swagger back, and this is the kind of game that gets us on track. Hey, it wasn't what we wanted. It certainly wasn't what I wanted. I want to see that run cleaned up quick. Passing the ball, though, he got 150 yards? But he didn't need to pass it because not that they were like absolutely dominating us in the run game, but they got theirs. They absolutely got theirs, and that's something that we gotta fix soon. Because teams with good running backs, because I never heard of their running backs. Cordell Patterson's their dude, and he's been a solid cat in this league, and now they don't have him, and they have a rushing attack like that. I mean, they did rotate particularly big. Yes, Corey Brown, Bucs versus the Steelers at the Steelers next week in Pittsburgh with no TJ Watt, and they have just given up. I'm going to go 35 points against the high-end Buffalo. Well, that tells me the Buccaneers should walk. In my opinion, the Buccaneers should at least walk away with a 25-10 victory off the top of my head. That's how I see that. But you got to beware of the wounded animal, because the Steelers are coached hard. They ain't powder puffs, but they don't have an offense. That's why we got to get this run thing right. If we knock the run, hard-nosed football teams like to run the football. That's part of their bread and butter. That's part of the philosophy of being a hard-nosed football team. If you can't run the football, you're going to rely on Kenny Pickett and his small little ditty, my strong hand, to throw the ball. I fancy my chances, but we have to stop the run. If we don't stop the run, it ain't going to be pretty. Mike Tomlin, head coach, finally losing record this season, first time. He's an elite coach. I think he's just it's hard to win games when you don't have a franchise quarterback. It's just that simple. It's not that easy. God knows how some of the other teams, you got a couple of teams that are doing it. Like Atlanta's was winning games. The Seahawks have won a couple of games, but their numbers will come. They will get called out. Better teams will play them, and that's why the Buccaneers need to get on track in the next 2 games, because we got some big games coming up. We got Baltimore coming up. Baltimore's a much better team than the teams that we're going to be facing in the next 2. So we got to get that correct. We got to be present and correct. So I ask everyone, Corey Brown, what was your biggest takeaway? So I'm going to see this. I always do what I call the newspaper part on my show. And at the beginning, what I say by that is, tomorrow you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to get the newspaper, and you open the newspaper and it says, bang. And you know what it's going to say this tonight? Buccaneers get away with one. Because we weren't fantastic. We had moments. We dominated that game to the 4th quarter, and then we just went foot off the gas, and we allowed a team to get into it. That's the beauty of football, though. That's part of all the hype about football is you can be down. It only takes 2 things: an offensive explosion and just one play on defense, and you could be back straight in a game with 2 touchdowns in your pocket. Even if a team's been like beating the crap out of you, but not scoring on a regular basis, but they dominated you. We weren't scoring a lot of points, but we were dominant all the way until we started giving up those 3 and outs. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. We had an opportunity to close it out way earlier than we had to. That's my biggest takeaway. But it doesn't matter, because the Buccaneers are 3-2, and we're okay. I'm interested to see the injury report that comes out of this one. Colton Davis went off. Yes, Corey Brown, that's right. Sean, if you're pointing Colton Davis, I do know about Mike Edwards. That's defensive players, and that's not good, because Logan Ryan's also out, so the safeties are really like beat up right now. And this is another thing, guys. This is why we don't go panic buying for players that we don't actually need, because we could have a situation like this. We got one safety out. We don't know when he's going to return. We got one safety who's injured. We don't know how bad it is. Hopefully it's nothing, and he comes back. he's just a little shook up, or he has something that just lasts a week. Then we got to start. Then we got to start looking at what safety we can get. Not worrying about freaking Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to be a Buc. I'm telling you right now, just because he's had a cute little conversation on the sidelines at a game does not mean he will be a Buccaneer. Right? Tom Brady might really want him. But there are other, you've got to remember there's a whole team there and there's more to get out. What are you going to get out of an Odell Beckham Jr.? Well, Odell Beckham Jr. is out till November. We know that. So let's go week 9, week 8, week 9. Okay, so that's a fair while away. It's going to take him a week to embed himself in the team. I've been saying this to death, to be honest. I'm sick. It gives me a funny taste in my mouth because I've been saying it so much. He's going to be ready around about week 10-ish. So week 10, 11. And then he's going to start climbing through the depth chart. Now, by all accounts, Julio Jones has been a no-show. But that can change. We saw that with Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller had a day. I was pretty sure that most people were done with Scotty Miller after this time. And anyone who was a devoted fan, because I don't think I was, I think I was fed up of seeing him, to be brutally honest. But he showed up today and he got himself some yards. He got himself going, and that's all that matters. And he did it. Pleased for him, proud of him. But we got a lot more work to do. Russell Gage had a few catches. Chris Godwin had a few, and Mike Evans was Mike. I want to see more of this running game because this running game hasn't been as advertised yet. It has not been as advertised. We got a guy who's considered by the NFL considered a bow cow running back, and he has not produced. I'd give you one thing though, Lenny. You sure can catch the football out of the backfield. He is elite at that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being he ends up way over 1,000 yards just because of what he can do out of the backfield with the ball with a thrown ball in his hand. But we saw a little bit more of Rashad White. He looks like a solid number. No fumbles. We don't really cough up the ball that much. I'm just pleased to see that we got sacks. I would have liked a couple of interceptions here and there. I think that would have really kind of put us in good stead for the rest of the week just to go into. We're going to the next game with a couple more interceptions, but hey, defense did what it had to. I just wish we got a little bit more out of it. You know, it always feels a little like the air went out of the balloon today. I think I was super stressed. I was super stressed. Oh God! I tell you what, I was sat there going, please God, just let us grind this one out. Corey Brown says, rookie tight end Kate Otten had a great game. He did. He really did. And this is what we wanted to see. The more we see of him now, this is kind of, I wouldn't say a blessing in disguise, but it gives us an opportunity to see more of him. And yeah, when Cameron Brate comes back, there's a fight for his job. He's got to fight for his job. He actually absolutely has to. He's got to fight for his job. And yeah, he's got to go and he's got to go up against a rookie who wants a piece. And I gotta respect that. Because he did everything he needed to do. So I will bring in we've got a guest coming in, and that is James Canada from Big Game Sports Buzz. I'll bring him in now. He's not ready to come in, so we'll give him a couple of minutes to get that on. But let's have a little look at what the Atlanta Falcons did to this Buccaneer team. Marcus Mariota went 14 to 25 for 147 yards. Sorry, I can't see anything with these glasses on. It's as cool as they look. As pimping as I look. This is one of the things I felt about this team that I was a little bit worried about is how the Buccaneers would deal with a running quarterback. And he he drummed us to the tune of 7 carries for 61 yards. This is my worry. For some reason, I can't add James Canada into the show for some reason. I'm not too sure what's going on. I'm trying to put him in. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Marcus Mariota got himself the 61 yards for 7 carries. Tyler Algier, 13 for 45. Caleb Huntley, 34 for 8 carries for 34. And Avery Williams, 3 for 11. So that's going to put them at around about 90 yards from actual running backs. So, and that's what I take most. I don't always. They're probably over 100 yards in designed actual run plays because I don't include scrambling in that, in my opinion. Receiving, Zacharias, 2 receptions for 39. What were the Bucs doing to allow a guy who I've never heard of in football to allow him to get 39 yards? I don't know. Drake London, who looked like he had a really good game, 4 receptions for 35 yards. It felt like a lot more, if I'm honest. It felt like a lot more. Daryl Hodge got himself 3 for 33. Not too great. Yeah, let's face it, they did not pass the ball. Their running game what kept them in it. It's just disappointing that I don't think the score reflects just how good the Buccaneers played at times. Like, just like last week when the Buccaneers played against the Chiefs, that scoreline flattered us. I think this scoreline flatters Atlanta. That's my thing. Let's look at their defense. They got themselves 1 sack, which was called as a penalty. Hoy Brown says Zion McCullough needs to step up next week if he does, and the problem is he hasn't had much game time, so he is raw as hell, and he's not. This was a game for him to slowly embed him in, you blood him in. I'll just see if I can get on a big game. James is gone. Not too sure what went wrong there, but we'll continue anyway. Yeah, he does, and the problem is he hasn't been blooded in well, and for that, it makes the order next week a much taller order. I'm hoping that we get one of either Colton Davis or Sean Murphy-Bunting back because if I'm honest, we need it. We really need it. Not that this Steelers offense is particularly great, but you say that Buccaneers didn't go up against a particularly great offense today. An offense that was missing 2 of its key ingredients, and they still were within 6 points of us. That's the frustrating part of this game. The defense should have been licking its lips because they knew it wasn't going to be a bad day. That it shouldn't have. There's no way that it can get that bad. It got that bad. He did. He played much better. I think he over pursues a little bit sometimes, but he's playing better. He's developing. He is a first-round pick, but he's a bottom of the first round. So it's like he gets the stress of being a first round, but he's more closer to an early second. So there's always a lot of pressure, especially when you've got to fill the shoes of someone like a JPP, So, want to see more of him. He's been pretty good. Special teams look bang average. I wasn't particularly impressed by anything that I saw by special teams. Kickers making his kicks. It's pretty standard. From a defensive standpoint, the Atlanta Falcons have Michael Walker. He led the team with 7 tackles, 4 assists. Jalen Hawkins with 7 tackles for 3 assists. Richie Grant for 6 and 1. I won't go through everyone because I could be here a while. Let's talk about our Buccaneers. What were they able to do? If it lets me find out. Here we go. Tom Brady, 34-52. We do not want a quarterback who is old. No offense, Tom Brady, who is old, despite what he said in his commercial about Ronaldo, who is old, throwing 52 times a game. We don't. That's going to wear his arm out towards the end of the season, in my opinion. I don't really want to see that. Leonard Fournette, 14 carries for 56 yards. From the average point of view, it's really not that great. Chris Godwin, 2 yards. Tom Brady -3. Here's the thing, guys. We go 4th and 1. Why do we hand the ball off? Why? Why do you hand the ball off on 4th and 1? Tom Brady's known for his sneaks. And when you're known for something, yeah, they'll try and stop it. They'll put a package in to try and stop it. But he's been a master of it for so long, getting first downs and touchdowns out of it. There's a reason why he's considered the 1 yard conversion king. It's just what he does. So when we look at the receiving yards, it was Lenny Fournette for 83, 10 receptions. Mike Evans with 81 for 4 receptions. I want to see more of Mike being thrown the ball. I want to see more of him. I don't want to see him on a screen. I just don't see it working. It's not what he does. I want to see a nice little rub from the slot, and you get him on that out breaking route, and they're running an in breaker. The slot's running an in breaker. Sorry, reverse. Sorry, he's running an in breaker, and the slot's running an out breaker. That nice little rub over the top. Boom. I like that. K. Dotton 6 for 43. Not amazing, but it was good considering we haven't seen a lot of production from him. And then Scotty Miller got himself 4 catches for 35 yards. Not a lot, but some of them were conversions, some of them were good field goal positions, and some of them were just good plays on the ball. Rachaad White was 3 for 28. He had a pretty good day. Russell Gage 2 for 20. Carl Rudolph, I didn't hear his name called. I guess that meant he was throwing the ball. Antoine Winfield leads the team in tackling, 7 tackles for 1 assist. Got himself a sack. Colton Davis has got 4. Jamal Dean 4. Shaquille Barrett 3 and 2. Keanu Neal 3. Carl Nassib 3 and 2. Derridin Senat 3 and 1. Devin White 3 and 2. And this is the thing. I'm seeing like Levante David with 2 tackles and 3 assists. I'm seeing Levante David with 3 tackles and 2 assists. I want to see more out of them. I want to see those 8. I want to see 8. I want to see 10. That's too quiet. William Goulston 1 and 3. Vita Vea 1 and 1. And there's a load of guys with 1 and 1. Joe Trine-Shoyinka got himself 1 and 1. Ryan Suckham got himself a 44 long 44 long field goal, 2 and 2. Jake Camarada with 4 punts, and then Rachaad White returning. Jaden Mickens doing punt return, and that's all they kind of wrote for us. Let's have a little look through the comments. Cheddarhead, I wish the refs would call roughing the pass rule with Rodgers the way they do. Hey, different referees. Cheddarhead, different referees. Let's try and see if we can get him in. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't seem to get. We got James Canada, and I can't seem to add him to the stream for some reason. I'm not sure why. James, can you hear James Canada? If you can hear me, for some reason I cannot enter you into the stream for some bizarre reason. There's nothing there. It just comes up with your name. Edit. Here we go. You alright, dude? Oh no. Yeah, I'm trying to get James Canada into the stream, but for some reason there's no option to click him in, so there's not really much I can do. So we'll just keep rolling as we always do. Bear with me a moment. So yeah, James Canada's computer's acting up, so he may not be on. If he's not, no worries. We'll just soldier on through. It would have been nice to have the D-line perspective of a Buccaneer great in James Canada, Big Game James of Big Game Sports Buzz. Have him on, but if not, we'll just keep going. The Buccaneers took their foot off the gas. That was the big thing for me, offensively, and then defensively. I think we got worn out a little bit. We need to stop the run a bit better. Pleased with the sacks. Pleased with the game plan. I just felt we were just a little bit soft towards the end. We were playing like a zone coverage, which isn't really ever been our strong point. Like if you're going to play like a zone shell, I'd rather we played like a cover 2-man or something like that. I don't really want pure zone because I just don't think this group of players are particularly zone savvy, if I'm honest. But we go on to the next game, guys. What I want to know is from you guys, if there's any watching, I know there's 3 already. What do you want to see from the Bucs going forward? Me, I want to see a little bit more of Cade Otton, and I want to see this run game develop. The Buccaneers were talking about how they're going to be more balanced. It feels less balanced than last year, if I'm honest. It feels less balanced than last year. I want to know why the Buccaneers made an effort to go and sign someone like Julio Jones, who has not done anything yet. He had one catch against one pretty catch against the Cowboys, and that's all she wrote. That's all I can say. I want to see more Cade Otton. I'm pleased that Scotty Miller got more, and I hope he catches the bug of I'm playing for my contract. I'm playing for my future contract in the league. So even if he's not a Buccaneer, put your tape out. Don't put out bad tape, Scotty. Don't put out the bad tape. You don't need that. That's all you need to do is go out there, catch them balls, because they are going to come your way. Tom Brady clearly trusts this guy, and that's why he's on the team, is my belief. He must be doing stuff in practice that we're not seeing on the broadcasts, and that's pretty standard because we always kind of react to preseason and go, "Oh, well, this guy had a really good preseason." No, he had very good preseason games, and yes, they're kind of a dress rehearsal for an actual game, but they're not an actual game, realistically. They are looking at what you're doing in practice, week in, week out, day in, day out, session in, session out. They're not looking at what you did for the 4 reps that you got. They're looking at the 100 reps you got this week. And that's the difference. That's what we don't get to see as Buccaneers fans all the time. And we're not sit there watching the film of those practices and going over and over and over in it. That's the difference. But I ask you guys, I want to see this run game from an offensive standpoint. I want Scotty Miller to take what happened today and build on it. I want to know what Julio Jones is here for. Is he here just to sit here and hopefully collect a ring at the end of it? Or is he here really going to contribute? Because I've not seen much of him. Jalen Darden had a lot more snaps. Now, I don't know if this kid was... I say kid, he's probably older than me. No, he's not. Julio Jones may have been out with injury, and that's why he didn't play, or his injury was worse than it thought. And I know that he was considered a game day decision, so I'm hoping that was the reason we didn't see him, because if he was on the field and just wasn't doing anything or had limited snaps, I'm just hoping he comes back and we get just a little taste of what Julio Jones was like when he was with the Falcons, because he was a special player. Really special player. And you'd think with an elite quarterback like Tom Brady that they could get some magic out of him. So far, it's not happened. He's shown glimmers of this the talent that he has. Corey Brown says the Buccaneers need to run the football and mix the play action. This is my game plan every time I've been watching the Bucs. There's not been one game plan. It's like run the ball, play defense, get that play action going, and then play off that. Fool them. Make their defense think you're passing it when you're running it, and when you're running it, you're passing it. You do that, you are set up for success. I want to see more balls to Mike Evans, because Mike Evans is the only major playmaker that's busting it up. Like all that we talk about how Leonard Fournette led the team in receiving yards for sure, but there were small yards. Mike Evans gets the smoking plays. He gets the explosive plays. That's what it's got to be about. I want to see some explosion from Chris Godwin, a little bit more. I want to see a bit more. I think we'll see it eventually. James Canada trying to come on again. Oh man, the poor guy's got computer problems, and I still can't add him to the stream. But no worries, we'll keep going. We're probably going to drop this off close to the hour mark, I guess, because we're at the moment we're kind of throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And I'm sure that everyone's still watching some of the games that are going on right now and checking on their fantasy football teams. I have not looked at any fantasy yet. Someone messaged me earlier to say that they were kicking my ass in fantasy, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I should care. I'm too busy watching the Bucs game, so it is what it is. But yes, I agree with you, Corey Brown. The Buccaneers need to run the football and mix in that play action. You want to fool them. That's what it's called, the misdirection. It's also called the misdirection pass game, because you are misleading the defense into thinking you're doing one thing than what you're actually doing, and it requires very, very talented linebacker, very talented linebacker play, in the sense of they need to get their reads. If they bite on the first thing that they see, you can fool them. And once you do that, an ill-disciplined defense will give up a lot of points very quick. Reading in this football game, in this game of football, is one of the most fundamental things you need to do. It's something that I coach all the time. If you're not using your eyes, you're just telling lies. And that it is simple as that. If you can read the game, I'm telling you one thing, guys. Let's say you have two guys, all right, in your team. One's super athletic, but doesn't know football. He will make plays because he's so athletic. If you have a guy who's averagely athletic, but knows your play calling system, knows what the offense is trying to do to them, knows how to read the game, knows how to get their keys, and knows how to act on their keys, he will get to the ball faster than the athletic guy, because he knows what's coming before it happens, or when it's happening, it will register with him. The play reaction will register with him much quicker. The athlete will just use his athleticism to make up for his lack of awareness. That's what's got to happen. Buccaneers are going into a game against another team that's struggling. We're going against a team that's got a losing record. We need to win big. The Buccaneers need a statement game. I was hoping this was going to be the statement game. It was not. I didn't underestimate this defense. I underestimated their offense, because today their offense looked better than it did. Now, granted, it was only in one quarter, and you can argue the Buccaneers just took the foot off the gas. Injuries, and that's what I'm hoping is. I'm hoping it's just the Buccaneers took their foot off the gas because there was so much going wrong defensively from an injury standpoint, and they were kind of rocked a little bit. But what is inexcusable is the Buccaneers' offense could not move the football in a few drives. They stalled out. I don't want to see that. I want to see this team moving the football. I want to see this team moving the sticks, pushing the ball down the field, and hey, if we don't get it, then we kick the points. If we do get it, hey, even better. That's what we're after. Consistency. If the Buccaneers did those drives where we stalled out and turned them into field goals, yeah, it's not great, but it's 9 points on top. It's a cherry on top, and it makes it harder for Atlanta to come back. Atlanta were in that game till the end, and that's a horrible thing to say because they weren't in the game for 3/4. They weren't in the game for 3/4, but technically they were always in the game because the end result shown that they had every chance to win that football game. We just needed to have one good drive, and it came down to a penalty. Now, I'm not saying the Buccaneers wouldn't have done anything else after that penalty, because I think they probably would have. But when you're saved by a penalty that is kind of a dodgy penalty, Buccaneers fans can no longer whinge about referees. We really can't, because that was probably a savior one, because in my opinion, that was nowhere near roughing the passer. But I do believe that it was. I do believe that it was definitely PI on Scotty Miller, who also made the catch. So I would love to have seen if that went against the grain, that they either did call pass interference or there was no pass interference, there was no actual real interference, and he caught that ball in bounds. Now that kid's stats would have been a bit better. The Bucs need to create offense and mix in full teams. Defense. The defense just needs to shut down the run. Defense needs to shut down the run, because that's what they did in 3 games. And they went against, let's go running backs. They shut down the run against Green Bay, who have Aaron Jones, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name in the Green Bay Packers. Their other running back, off the top of my head. AJ Dillon. So yeah, off the top of my head, I got it. They shut those guys down, who are a good tandem. They shut down Marcus Ingram, who is a good running back. He's not great. He's a good running back. He's a renowned name in the league. I would say they shut down Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard, and Pollard's considered decent. But these guys that they had at the Atlanta Falcons, I never heard of them until today. Never heard of them till today. And I think, for me, that's what frustrates me the most. The Buccaneers went against no names and gave up yards that they had no business giving up. That means they must have had absolute supreme blocking. And I'm noticing a lot of teams are seeming to run it up off. A lot of teams are now starting to run it up against where in that strong side A or the weak side A, depending on which side in the A gaps, depending on which side Vita Vea turns up in. They are now using. We've been using Vita Vea as a way, like a roadmap to get for our run fits. They are now using attacking Vita Vea to create their run lanes. So we need to be a bit more savvy with what we're doing. And it might mean reverting to a 4-4. It might mean reverting to a 4-2-5. It might mean reverting to it might mean referring to a 4-3. Just on that basis, so you can shut it down a bit more. If a team's having success at the middle, that would probably be my go-to. Yeah, that would probably be my go-to, like, kind of to control that. That this is what I would do, and I'd probably put in a few slants that kill that hole open. So what's called a pirate, that's usually done in a 4-3, and that's where the end wraps around the nose tackle's ass. That works really nice, and it can shut down some stuff. But we're coming to the end of things. Paulie Put comes up with slick, strange play calling in the second half. Got lucky with the penalty at the end. Absolutely. I think we got very lucky with that penalty. But I do believe that was, and in my heart of hearts, as a defensive guy, that was 100%. That was 100% PI on Scotty Miller. in my opinion. And I don't know if they just kind of called a crazy penalty just to make up for it. I don't know. But saying that, we won the game. It's ancient history. You can't dwell on things. If you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, you turned up. Your team has the ability to be a 6 or 7 seed playoff team right now. Because I don't think you're going to win the division. I don't think you're going to win the division. I still think the Bucs are favored for the division. The Saints lost today as well, I believe. I don't know. I hope so. That's all I need. That's all I need to find out is that Carolina lost and the Saints lost. If I hear about those, then it sets the spread against that. We sit on top nicely. We're wearing that crown for a little bit longer, and we just got to keep going and keep fighting for it. But yeah, we got lucky with a penalty. We did. We got absolutely lucky with a penalty. But it is what it is. That's football. It'll happen to us. And I don't like it when people blame referees why they lost, because it should never come down to a single point in the game. You do realize there's 60 minutes in the game. There's 4 quarters. You can't blame the entire game. The entire game. Your team sucked until 1 point. But the ref screwed us on that. Well, your team sucked before that. Deal with it. I think the Bucs are learning games week by week. I think the Bucs are learning games week by week mistakes. Sometimes you have to make mistakes to learn from them. I just felt this team was too veteran. Especially on the defensive side of the football. We've only got one guy who's really new to the system, which is Logan Hall. That's really it. Everyone else is pretty settled as where they've been. So the Buccaneers defense should not be making these uncharacteristic mistakes. And now, yeah, they opened us up in the run game. And most of that was because, and they got over the 100-yard because of scrambling from a quarterback. It probably isn't as bad as I look. And right now, I'm just reacting organically to what I've just seen. Right? I'll probably sit and watch the game again and go, oh, yeah, we did this and that. We could do this better. We could do that better. But that's neither nor there. We are done. The Buccaneers move on. Hey guys, remember it's Victory Monday, so making sure you enjoy your Victory Monday. I don't know if you have any rituals. I don't personally, but my one thing I always do is the jersey that I'm wearing. So a bit of the old Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. and the hat. They will be ready for next week, and there's a T-shirt here, but I'm not going to start stripping. I'd make girls go crazy. So that's my ritual. Those kind of things will carry on to the next game until we lose, and then it changes. So the moment we lose, it changes. So I was kind of annoyed because we lost a game last week, and I've only just put on the Devon White jersey, the pewter number. But unfortunately, that's now back in rotation. It's probably going to be towards the end of the season that might be reworn. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for anyone who's commented. It's much appreciated. If you guys want to come on, let me know. We'll come get you in for other shows. It's always a pleasure. Never a chore. Bucs win. Enjoy your Victory Mondays. Bucs on me. Bucs on free. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucs!